Just
Right.
do present.
Everyone happy? Oh, I've not tried this present. Let's try it. Can you still see that?
Oh,
Yeah.
where did it go? Where did it go?
God, don't worry.
This is going to break things.
What's the date today, by the way?
11-11, boys. 11-11. Right. Kicking this off. Why we're training? We're doing this training so we can improve our current performance on our operations. We've got new possibilities potentially coming up, especially in the next deployment. And I'm adding some new processes / roles to enhance the number 18 service, so we can improve our service to the 4th Infantry Brigade. Okay. So tonight we're going through crew process changes, so loadmaster, weapon systems, operations, communications, and obstacle callouts under crew process changes. We're going to introduce or improve our QRAs, quick reaction alerts, and we're also doing a few HLS practices and techniques. So we'll practice some brownout landings tonight, faster landings, because we're getting a bit slow on our arrivals. Landing in smaller areas, tighter HLSs, compounds, trees all around, all that shit. Tonight we're going to be introducing the doctor and nurse roles to the aircraft. I've also added sling loading and airdropping and scones.
Scones.
Okay.
Scones.
Scones.
It's a scone.
Shush. Crew process changes. Okay, so we're now going to introduce having the co-pilot call out speed, and the loadmaster is going to be calling out height. The loadmaster is normally going to be the first part of the aircraft to touch down, and they've also got an altitude readout in the top left as well, just like everyone else in the helicopter, to be able to see where we are. So we're going to start introducing that. This allows the pilot to have an idea of who's talking in the back on the loadmaster seat, and you've also got the speed coming from the co-pilot. So sometimes I'll have someone say, I'm 200 and 100. And to me, that's nothing, because I could be at speed at 200, altitude at 100, or I could be altitude at 200, speed at 100. So we're going to introduce that now, and it could be. So what we're looking at is when we get closer to the ground, the loadmaster will take over the altitude callouts or height callouts. Sorry. So up until about 20 meters, co-pilot speed 50, good height, pretty much all the way through. 40, good height, absolutely fine. When we get to about 30, 20, 10 meters, I want the loadmaster to start taking out. So from 15 meters, the loadmaster can start doing 5, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, wheels down. That signals to the pilots that the back wheels are on the ground. They can level out and zero out their collective. When they're stable, everyone off we go. Loadmaster calls last man off we go again. So we're going to be introducing that kind of role now. So whoever's on loadmaster seat tonight, it's all going to switch around. You're all going to get a role on it. You'll be doing the altitude callouts from about 15 meters. Before that, it's the co-pilot's role to do that. Okay. Silence is good. So when we're operating on 4-man crew, so on Saturday and Sundays, one bird's operating on a 4-man crew, one bird's operating on a 5-man crew. When we're operating on a 4-man crew, the weapon system operator, I'd like to do a switch between the primary position, which is the left door gun, and then switching to the right crew chief door seat, just to have a quick look out, make sure we're not dangerously close to any other obstacles. It could literally be a quick 5-second quick look around left to right, happy, move back to the left-hand side to get yourself back on that gun. So it'd be great if we can start introducing that tonight. It just gives us a little bit of a better all-round picture of the aircraft as we're arriving. So any comments on that part?
I have a question.
Yes, hit me.
Why are we getting the WizOp to change instead of just the crew chief jumping on the crew chief door?
Well, remember, on a 4-man crew, we don't have a crew chief.
Oh, of course, right.
And if you're talking realistically, the weapon system operator is the closest to the right-hand side door as well.
I would point something out here. Recently, there's been problems with people calling out the aircraft doing that.
Can you give me an example of when that happened?
Who fell
I
out the
fell
other
out
night?
on the training.
Baker.
Baker,
Truman did it
yeah.
as well.
Who
And
fell
so
out?
did
Who pressed V?
No,
Nope.
was
they
me.
were
Nope.
just switching seats.
Roger. Okay, we'll give that a test and see if that
Yeah.
if that continues, we'll stop it. If it's just been a few anomalies, we'll continue at the minute. At the minute, we'll introduce this. If it doesn't work, we'll switch back. Anything else?
I've got a question, but I'm observing. Should probably remain
Yes.
quiet.
Yes. Go for it.
Which airframes is this applicable to?
This is the Chinook, so the 18's only in the Chinook.
Roger.
Let me just fix that. So next thing we're doing, communication within the crew. You'll see this in our video I'll put up in a few minutes, hopefully. Just to see how the crew communicates within each other. I'd like to see the pilots and the co-pilots talking to each other. So if the pilot's got a plan, don't keep that a secret. Tell the co-pilot, tell the rest of the crew. They're all ears. They just want to make sure that you know what you're doing, and they know what you're doing. And also they can argue if they think that's a bad plan, essentially. So that's one thing I want to start seeing. Co-pilots, remember to use the camera that you have available to you. You've got night vision, infrared, and normal daytime view, and you can zoom and not reduce zoom. So that's absolutely fine. And also use your windows as well. So just right click on the mouse into the camera, take a quick look round, check the infrared if you want, and then check back out so that you're seeing far away views and also up front close obstacles. Crew in the rear, yep, checking all your surroundings all around. Like I said, hopefully we're going to get people on the right hand side every now and then, just popping in, checking everything's okay, popping back out to the weapon system operator gun. And also I want to make sure I hear everyone doing the clear rear, clear left, clear right calls, because it has been lacking here and there. Airfield is fairly okay, but any HLS we're coming into, it's normally unfamiliar terrain that we're landing in. So let everyone know your side's clear. It's really, really important. Okay.
Yep.
Any questions on that? Everyone okay with that?
I've got a quick statement. When the
Yes.
co-pilot goes into camera, it's worth announcing to the pilot that he's not in the cockpit, as it were. Because there's a
Yes,
limit
yes,
of what you
totally.
can see. So if you're in the cockpit, you can see close what's going on and around. If you're in the camera, you can't give that advice, but you can give other advice if it's given. So it's
No,
often
that's
worth
good.
telling the pilot that you're in the camera as opposed to in the cockpit.
Thank you, Smudge. Anyone else? Cool. Okay. Obstacle callouts. So, like I said, we seem to be missing them from a few people every now and then, and I just want to make sure that we have kind of a bit of a set standard procedure to kicking off an all-round check, bearing in mind this should be happening at all times. No matter what altitude we're at or what speed we're at, there could be aircraft in the vicinity, but mainly this is mostly important when we're on the ground and we're coming in. So the pilot, quick little keyword, clear all round. Am I clear? Something like that. Just to get everyone into gear to check their positions. But I've just gone for a standard clear all round question. Announce to the side of the airframe, crew can use clear left, clear right, clear rear. If there's obstacles the airframe will hit, we can use maintain height, forward 10 meters, maintain height, left 6 meters, things like that. And if there's anything urgent, just shout it out, because it's better to shout about it and let me know than it is for me to crash into it and we prat around on the ground for 20 minutes trying to get back to base. Ask Zeus to put down another helicopter for us, and we prat around, we upset everyone else on the operation. So the quicker we hear there's an obstacle we're about to hit, or if it's avoidable, it's really, really important. So please make sure. What are you saying, Fisher?
Freeze.
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 Oh, trees. Fuck me, it's your Scottish accent. See?
No, you
that's
just
a-
like to eat them.
I know, that's all I
You know,
hear.
from HLS, oh look, tree. Boing.
Fucking oh god, I'm gonna take your price last night from you soon, mate. If you keep hitting them. So yes, please announce trees to Fisher. If you're unsure and you want a second opinion, you can say things like unsure tree left, things like that. Someone can hop in the camera, have a quick look. The camera is not as brilliant a view as you have, but it gives you at least a second option to have another look. Or we can just go around and come again. If you're unsure about anything, there's always an opportunity for us to fuck off and come back again. It's not an issue. And then a quick little order that we could use. So the pilots announced a clear all round question mark should have been put in there. So I want to go for rear first, left, and then if available, right. So left, sorry, rear, left, right. It means that we can keep our descent going, knowing that we're not going to hit anything in the rear, because it's so far behind us. We can sometimes lose our position. Left, please, weapon system operator, you're already in that position. You can already call it out. Right, if you've got the ability to do it, switch over to the right hand side, clear it, and off we go. So that's the order I'd like us to practice tonight. Loadmaster first, weapon system operator second, and we will have a crew chief tonight. So we announce a right then. Any questions on that?
No, sounds good.
Fellows,
Yes.
just to stop you quickly, when we get to it, I made the RAF nurse and RAF doctor kits earlier, and I'll make them public when we get to it.
Perfect, thank you. QRAs. Aim of QRA, get in the air as quickly as possible to get to our casualties. Essentially, mainly using medevac situation. Normally you get called for a scramble. It means fucking leg it to the bird. Get that bird switched on, because the longest time you spend doing a QRA doing nothing is essentially spooling that bird up, because it just takes so fucking long. So please, QRA, we're going to be practicing this tonight. There's a few things that could happen on a QRA. We could have a bird stationed out on a QRA pad and a QRA tent, or our fucking chairs that we like to sit on nearby. We get called for a scramble. The pilots need to get to the airframe first. Co-pilot can sit around and put around on the radios and sort out the HLS and stuff while he's there. As soon as the pilot hears a scramble, they need to be running or even driving for that airframe. We need to have it switching on and spooling up. You can talk about the HLS all that time while it's spooling up when the co-pilot gets in. So please, highest priority, pilot gets into that aircraft and starts spooling up immediately. Any other aircraft nearby, let's say as you're a tricky and there's a vortex coming to land, the vortex will avoid you. You have the priority no matter what direction you're going in. So yes, if the airframe's on a QRA pad and it's a bit away, we will have vehicles nearby to the QRA hut/tent. One vehicle will be designated to the pilot. The pilot gets in that. Do not impede the pilot at all. You can have another vehicle and get over there a few seconds later, but it's a few seconds of that bird's spooling, and it's closer to the casualty essentially. So essentially, QRAs gets called pilot, vehicle, or running into that bird, get in the air or get it spooling up. Crew will follow 30 seconds to a minute later. Crew will be there as soon as they possibly can. Let's say you're patting around with getting out some more medical kit or something, or the co-pilot spent his time on the radio. So just literally fucking leg it over to that bird, because it's really, really important. So we'll have 2 vehicles per crew, 1 for the crew, 1 for the pilot, and 1 for the pilot. Do not impede it. Don't stand in front of it. Just let it get away immediately. Okay? Any questions on that?
Is it worth, sometimes you have a pilot that goes AFK, is it worth testing tonight what format we should go through to the co-pilot spooling up, with the pilot joining laterally, and when we change controls over in case it bugs out on the ground? We did it the other evening, you and I, you were away, I spooled up.
We can do that. I'm more than happy to do that. So if the pilot is AFK, objective, get to the aircraft as soon as possible and get it spooling. Hudson isn't going to get too upset if he has to wait 1 minute for his radio callback to come back in. As long as you're spooling, you can spend that 2 minute spooling time talking to Hudson on the radio, getting the casualty details, pilot comes back in, hops in the bird. You guys get in the air, swap controls, and then go. So yes, definitely. As long as that bird is spooling up, I don't care how you do it.
I know, but my question is, have we got a formulaic process for that? Because if the co-pilot spools up and the pilot gets in and we change controls on the ground, does it start backflipping, go to the floor,
don't
or will
do
it
it on
fly?
the ground. Get in the air. As long as you're in the air, you can swap controls.
Cool.
Just please never do it on the ground because there's no point doing a QRA, and you might as well just wait for the co-pilot to come back from his shit or something. So if you're going to do that, please get in the air and then switch controls because it'll just cock up massively. Never swap controls on the ground. It will jump, it will cause desync, and it will blow up.
Can I ask a question on the ground side of things?
Yes.
This is a me not knowing Arma very well sort of question. Is there rotors running refueling available in Arma 3?
Yes.
I would suggest then if you have a QRA, having a Bowser right next to it that's permanently there so it can be moved quickly.
Well, I like to think if you're a QRA and you land and there's not loads of fuel in the tanks, you should be refueling it.
It's more thinking keep it spooled.
Yeah, but for example, let's say they have a good night and they only get one casualty, you stay spooled up on the ramp for the whole night.
Yeah, but it's also very quick.
I know it's very, very quick, but
Often they're not there in time though. If we do that.
Yeah, it's difficult for pilots and stuff to go away for a bit.
No, I mean the infantry don't get to the HLS in time. If we're there too quickly, we then sat on the ground for 2 minutes, vulnerable to.
Well, remember, later on in the presentation, we're introducing doctor and nurse roles, which may slightly mix things up a little bit. So, in terms of people getting out and stuff. So, I'm sure for free meds have got to quicken up their pace of getting casualties to the HLSs, and also remember the tricky bird is more likely to go further than a vortex bird because it is a medical bird. Transport can be dropped a little bit further back behind the lines. Tricky is going to be thrown into some dangerous situations to get to those casualties, pick them up and get them out. And that's one of the reasons why we're also improving our faster landings, because we prat around at doing Fisher quick stops at 2,000 meters in the air, and then just go straight down. No more of that. We're going to be changing that. We're going to go into tighter HLSs. We're going to do them faster. We're going to get riskier with the birds. Any question? Lovely. HLS Practice and Techniques. Next ops, coin. I don't know anything about it. I know as much as you guys know. But traditionally, let's say if we're doing a coin operations, it's normally going to be kind of desert, dusty kind of areas. So we're going to be practicing some brownout landings at a few of the HLSs tonight. Essentially, when you're landing into a dusty area, dust is thrown up around the airframe, obscuring the view. You can't see anything, and you lose your visual references. Have to rely on your crew quite a lot, and also the instruments in front of you. Remembering that Arma instruments aren't exactly the best things in the world because they are just there to make it look good. So just remember that. So to combat this, we're going to be doing landings about 20 kilometers per hour, hitting the deck, wheel brakes on, and this means that we're ahead of the dust cloud that's forming, and the cockpit, most importantly, can see forwards and can see the obstacles coming. So we're going to do a few landings at 10 to 20 kilometers an hour, just so that you can get that kind of cockpit in front of the dust cloud, wheels down, brakes on, and you're there, done. Really, really easy. So brownout landings, that's how to do it. Takeoff is exactly the same. Gain some forward momentum, get the cockpit nose out of that dust cloud. Really, really important. Okay.
I think with the takeoff, it would be important for the co-pilot to mental note what's ahead as you stop, I guess.
Or pilot and co-pilot.
Yeah.
Definitely, they should both be looking out for their obstacles when they're coming into a HLS. They should also be looking out for their egress out of HLSs, not just the ingress.
Is it worth getting across to infantry who set the HLS up that we're going to need a runoff?
What is
Most of the HLSs are set up by Mr. Hudson here or the JTACs.
Can I interject
Okay.
a bit there? From experience, and I think Niles will back me up on this, when we've done coin ops in the back, usually the HLSs have gone in the middle of HESCOs. So unlike on this op where we're literally landing all over the place, left, right and centre, prior, my first 2 ops, you never landed anywhere unless it was in a HESCO barrier. And you couldn't do a moving, and they were tight as well. They were literally the length of the Chinook. And the brownout scenario was that somebody read out your speed, somebody read out your height, and you just relied on them implicitly.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's. If remember, this is a best scenario. Sometimes they are going to be tight HLSs, and then this also goes into the fact that the loadmaster's calling out the height, co-pilot's calling out the speed, and everyone is looking around that bird to announce any obstacles coming. I don't care if you have to abort your landings at some point if it's really unsafe. But yes, definitely, crew will have to be very focused on it. But if you can do it at a landing like this, where you can get a bit of forward momentum going, I would always recommend it. Cool. Any other questions on brownout landings? Lovely.
We get brown wings at the end of it.
You get brown wings at the end of it, yeah. And
Brown
brown
pants.
trousers. Yeah, Niles beat me
I'm
to
just
it.
waiting for him to say what the nurses and doctors are.
Faster
Stop
Conscious
landings.
it.
chaps.
Faster
All chaps
landings.
are
Essentially, don't faff around. Don't do a Fisher hover. Fisher, I know what you're like. You'll come in at 200k and then you'll just pitch straight up and you'll go flying up to the moon. So no more of that shit. Plan your arrivals. Slow down in good enough time, but don't slow down too much. Essentially, so when I say jerky movements, and don't get me wrong, I am fully guilty of this as well. I think we all make this mistake. We either overshoot our landing and then we have to suddenly try and kick it around or go around. Or we undershoot our landings and we actually stop and hover above some trees and then move forwards at 5 kilometers an hour, being a sitting duck in the air. So there's nothing wrong with landing full momentum if your HLS allows it. If there's enough space, feel free to land at 10 to 20 kilometers an hour. It's a perfect opportunity to practice brownout landings. But yeah, essentially try and time your landings really well. Jerky movements, try and avoid them because it's just going to pull you into a hover instantly. Things like that. So if we could, one thing we're going to try and practice today is some faster landings. Just get it into the HLS. I don't care if you damage, or you shouldn't damage it, but essentially, if you come down hard, who cares? It's not about how pretty a landing is. It's about getting in there, getting done, getting back out. And coming into this, tighter HLSs. So, like I say here, crew coordination. I've said it already tonight. Crew coordination is really important. All sides are clear. Any member of the airframe, not to be afraid to call the pilot to wave off. Literally, the more communication we have with the bird, the better. Do not be scared to say anything to the pilot or any of the other crew that you think their side's getting a bit too close to something. Please shout it out. It's really important. But yes, we need to get used to landing in some tighter HLSs now. We could be landing in compounds in the next op, for example. We could have trees surrounding us in this op, for example. So things like that. Practice here with essentially your approach. So coming into it, essentially, if there's no space for a forward landing, so you can't land with a bit of motion, come try and bring yourself to a hover directly where you want to land above. And then your crew can all have a quick look around and you can just go straight down. And I know I'm not saying that I'm brilliant at this and I can say I can do it, but this is something that we want to try and practice and improve on. So that's going to be a factor for tonight as well. Have we got any questions regarding HLS landing sites? No. Introducing the RAF Doctor and RAF Nurse role. So the RAF Doctor role, lead medical member of the airframe. The RAF Doctor will be the contact between the ground and the airframe. If required, the Doctor will get out at a designated HLS The helicopter will then lift. It'll hover nearby, or not hover, circle nearby, out of harm's way. The RAF doctor will be able to assist with medical issues on the ground, coordinate response to the ground, so they could ask for some defensive fire coming from one direction. They could tell the casualties to get to one point, because you know that's where the back of the bird's going to be. You could, and then you can then talk to the bird on your 343, or if the bird's far away, we'll get you on a 152. You can talk to the pilots and you can coordinate them coming back in to pick up all those casualties that you've now organised into an orderly fashion. With this, the crew can then just come straight in, 10 seconds, load the bird up, get back out. So that's pretty much going to be the role of the RAF doctor, lead medical person, and they're also probably there's going to be a chance of them getting out onto the ground, getting busy, sorting out the casualties on the ground, get them in the bird, back to the mob, and then we can sort everything else out there. So if the RAF doctor does get out, because the RAF doctor is normally going to be operating as a crew chief, the loadmaster will take over all crew chief duties. They'll hop into the crew chief seat, they'll fold out the stretchers, all that jazz, and then move back into their loadmaster seat. Any questions regarding the RAF doctor? It's going to be a very interesting role.
I mean, is this going to be, what's their primary title? Are they deemed to be RAF doctor and crew chief, or crew chief that is RAF doctor? I know it's semantics, but it just seems to be the same thing.
think
It's
That
just that
sounds
now,
like a
now it's
doctor
got a
that
name.
does crew chief roles.
Yeah, it's going to be a.
So is it
probably a
rotating? I
doctor
mean,
that
I
does
know
crew
that
chief role.
Moses has got it's going to mould this role as it starts off, but inevitably the people are going to, as and when they become tricky, or is Moses going to stick on tricky constantly?
We're going to get to a point where we're going to have more than just one RAF doctor, so hopefully we'll be able to get one on each flight, which would be ideal. But at this point with Moses, will probably be our guinea pig / test subject.
So we should be on tricky on every single flight, regardless of whether it's A, B, or C.
Potentially, yes.
And is that the same with the nurse, or is the nurse more interchangeable?
The nurse is going to be kind of more the assistant to the doctor on this one. So the RAF nurse, trained on medical, will lead from the RAF doctor in the back of the aircraft. So the RAF doctor will organise all of the medical procedures required, and then the nurse will focus on what they've been asked to do. If the doctor does get off, the RAF nurse will be in the role of loadmaster. If the RAF doctor's on the ground, the loadmaster will take over crew chief duty. So the RAF nurse will become the designated med person on that bird until the doctor gets back on, essentially. I don't know if we're really going to bring roles into it.
I'm going to say, isn't this just what's always happened, but with now different names?
Slightly. I think we're going to have some new courses that Hudson's mentioned. Bearing in mind, I'm literally just introducing this to you now. We haven't figured out every bit of technicality yet, but this is what it's looking like. I wouldn't be surprised if we do make it keep it as crew chief and loadmaster, and just have it as designated as crew chief will get off the birds and nurse will sit on the loadmaster seat. I haven't decided that yet, but this is what it's going to look like.
It's a bit trial and error at the moment, isn't it?
It is a bit trial and error.
Does the nurse wear a miniskirt?
Real life situation.
I was
would be-
so waiting for that.
Yes, of course you were. I didn't let you down.
A real
Did
life
not
situation, you'd have a loadie, then you'd have a nurse and doctor.
That's
As
what I was
well.
thinking. I mean,
We,
sure,
we don't have those server numbers. That's the thing. So
Yeah,
people are going
that's
to be
the
filling
thing.
into roles.
yeah, that is kind of
Understand
what I
that.
was kind of thinking of. Is that it seems to be just doing this what we've always done, but we're giving it a name, but then we lose ostensibly what the crew chief and the loadie is, but that's because of numbers. Yeah.
But
Well, I think numbers will
sort
come
all
up
that.
soon,
I
so-
think
No, I mean
we'll-
server amount that we're allowed to
Oh,
have
the
on
amount that
server.
can be on.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I know we've got
quite
people to
limited on
fulfil all sorts of roles. We can have people to drive the fuel, and either one to actually refill. It's just that then the server will be like sludge.
that. Any further questions? No. Okay. Sling load and airdropping, potentially increasing in these as we go. It sounds like we're going to do a bit more of a logistics position as well. So sling loading, two ways you can do it: assisted sling load or an unassisted sling load. So assisted, you can approach a sling load in a hover, guided by your crew chief. Crew chief deploys a sling load. Person on the ground will hook you up. Off you go. Unassisted, when you land next to the cargo, crew chief gets out, attaches to the cargo, hops back on, and resumes into the sling hatch position. So the only person that should be touching the sling ropes is the crew chief. And the only person that should be in the sling load hatch seat is the crew chief. When you're slinging, the crew chief needs to move to that position. So when you're sling loading, communication from the crew chief on the sling load hatch position and the pilot is crucial. So the crew chief will tell the pilot to increase or decrease altitude and speed. They'll have full control of the ropes. No one else is to touch. When dropping a sling load, the crew chief is to give a countdown and then announce load away. So, for example, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, load away. And so after it's touched, disconnect the load, announce load away, off you go. Simple as that. It's really, really quick. I've got a video to show it as well, for example, as well. So we'll have a look through that. Airdropping. So there's some very detailed instructions that I made in section 13 in the Air Command SOP under methods and tactics. So I implore you guys to take a look through that at some point soon as well, but I'll give you a top level bit of detail. You load the cargo via ACE, you fly towards the airdrop target, you fly directly over the drop point, recommend about 180k at a speed of wow, my writing's good there. Altitude of 50 meters above ground level. Co-pilot to press the airdrop 5 seconds before it goes. So you get a green bar go along the front. At the end of the green bar, the cargo hops out the back of the aircraft. That green bar takes 5 seconds. So you've kind of got to preempt it. So you've got to say, I think we'll fly over that point in 5 seconds time. Press the button 5 seconds before. 5 seconds later, it should be popping out straight over the target. Parachute will open. The loadmaster is to call if they see a good parachute. And then when it lands, it will emit a yellow smoke into the air for people to run towards, essentially, and also to signal the enemy where we are. But that's not our problem. But yes, any questions regarding sling loading and airdropping?
I just wanted to. Do you know why the 5 seconds is there? Because
It's
I
an
think I do.
ACE script.
No. If you think about it, when you, I'm talking in real life again, and this is a very good simulator of it, is the aircrew will say launch 5 seconds before, and then the loadie physically, in real life, has to push that crate down the airframe to get it out the back. That's your 5 seconds.
Essentially, yeah, that's what it'd be mimicking, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's mimicking. It's not like a Herc where it goes out by parachute and literally fucks off. It's the loadie pushing it down the airframe. So that's your 5 seconds. Just so it gives you a bit of concept as to why there's a 5 second delay. I don't think it's a coding thing. I think it's a roleplay thing.
Yeah, okay, cool. Lovely stuff. Anything else regarding this? Cool, okay. Scones, no comments on this?
No.
No.
Wrong.
Bullshit.
Wrong. Bullshit.
Wrong.
Totally wrong. Wrong.
Not like bone. So scone, not
Scone.
It's
Scone.
cream
That
and
is
jam.
absolute
so next
filth.
question.
Disgusting. That's scone.
Fucking disgraceful. The
Sorted
real
that one,
abuse
boys?
of power.
In Scotland, it's Scone, for goodness.
Scone.
In Scotland, Chinook only has one rotor as well, so fuck that.
Yeah, it does have some rotary issues, it has to be said. Oscillation.
Right. We're going to watch some of this. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear it.
That Larkin
Is this a
No,
loader,
it's got me.
a loadie about to eat a scone?
Hasn't got a beard.
Hopefully
fucking
you
love
guys
this
hear
video.
Remember to turn up your
Wait.
Discord.
Yeah, wait. Moses, unmute your headphones and
McClure as well.
Claire, yeah, unmute your headphone.
I'm going to make this bigger on my screen. Give me a second.
I'm sorry about the quality. There's no good quality videos of this. So it may look a bit shit. I was going to put it on a watch together, but apparently this one's banned on that. So
We just sit further back and squint a bit.
yeah. Right, everyone happy?
Yep.
So think about the crew communication as we're running through this, okay?
Every minute is now crucial. Pre-flight checks on a Chinook normally take half an hour, but today it's different.
Okay, that's proof BCL, fully forward, flight engaged, talk time, 100% OP going to stop. Fuel's coming off, quick set of scans. That's done, sweet. Okay, right then, if you can just follow me through, please, somebody, the batteries on the AP is stop on 4 flow, cross speed off, OPCL, fully forward, flight engaging. Come to slaved instruments, directions there, warning flights away, TAC, and I have. Everything is looking good there, ready for radars if nutty is. Yeah, Charlie 7, your side while we're doing it. Let's take and do a left-hand turn now. Alright, just bonding.
So you hear that the pilot was
Within
telling the
11 minutes,
co-pilot
they're
and
in
the
the
crew
air
what they were
and
doing,
heading straight for an
lifting
ongoing
left-hand
firefight.
turn out.
We're cleared injured, sir, but the AMP are firing mortars. Cool. Well, we're better at line than them. Hey. Cool, if they're firing mortars, chances are the tick's still ongoing, so we'll just be in and out as soon as we can. And, got them fanning around. Brilliant.
On board is an emergency medical team, as well as a force protection unit to secure the area when they arrive.
Those
And
aviators are
alongside
beautiful.
is their escort, the Apache attack helicopter.
I've said we'll try and make 120 at low level, and that should suit them quite nicely at 110, because we'll be weaving, they won't. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, Apache's staying low at the moment. Okay. Just got a few tents coming down the left-hand side, left cabin. We got a couple of villages on the nose, I'm going to go in between the two of them into the valley.
So that was a perfect example of this is how I want to hear it. The pilot saying I'm going to do this.
Okay, I'm going to be going in between a couple of compounds for about 700 metres time. We may stretch the Apaches if need be, we'll bring the speed back now, and then we can accelerate. You're right out there, accelerate back in, low level later on. Okay. Nice one, I just for a scan check. Without much wind there, Nussie, if you're happy, I'll just go straight in rather than faffing around doing any turns. Yeah, I was thinking on the way there's no wind at all, straight in, and then we can come out over the shoulder if needs be, depends how close we are. There's going to be troops firing on the ground and mortars going from the hill, but where we cleared him. Yeah, I've just passed that on to two guys that will be getting off. Okay, visual with a few plumes of smoke in the 12 o'clock, that must be from the mortar rounds. Right, 2.5 minutes.
Despite clearly visible smoke from the nearby firefight, the crew decides to press ahead with their mission.
He's still T1, Hedrick. He's still T1, so. Roger, 1 mile, I'm going to start decreasing speed. Cool. That's 1 mile now. Roger. Yeah, got women's moving. Expecting smoke. Ground track just beyond. Ground speed 50, good height. 45, 40, good height. Down 30, 20, 15, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Half on. Front on.
Did you hear the difference then when the loadmaster took over with the height call out, and then the co-pilot kept on with speed?
Up to the moment in the right, 2 o'clock. Yeah, forward right. Chance are we getting Doppler morts for small arms there.
With armed Taliban fighters little over a mile away, the Chinook presents an easy target. When it lifts off, it'll be in real danger of being hit by a mortar or rocket attack.
Cool, Padded, if you do it as low as you can whilst watching a rad out throughout, and I'll call rad out. Doesn't matter if it's a dust cloud, I'll call rad out. Yeah, we'll do, mate. And we don't want to go up high because we'll get fucking zapped. That's more forward right again, that's small arm still. Yeah.
19-year-old Private Christopher Gray has been shot in the chest.
Cool, there's fresh smoke again, so still ongoing. Happy. I'm still happy. Okay. You want Kev? Yep. He's coming to the aircraft now. Okay. Right then. Everybody happy if I left? Yeah, go for it. Right, left then. Ground 7 in. You're clear above. Thank you. Take my run out my powers. 40, 50, 60. No, good references. Key to height. Yeah, I've got good references. Okay, there's 20 feet there. But still good. Brilliant.
The Chinook is soon flying straight to a British field hospital, and the medics can begin their attempt to save the young soldier.
How's the guy doing down the back? Is he still holding in? Yeah, they're doing CPR at the moment. Okay. Okay, is there a chance you may be okay? We may be at a... we've got a bit of an aircraft problem at the moment. We can either go smooth and slow or fast. Okay, cool. Faster the better, actually. Cool, we're just going to run back as fast as we can now, Paddy.
Yeah, Woody.
The AA shall make their own way back. Happy?
Yeah, you can 6 o'clock, half a day high.
With the soldiers' health deteriorating, the crew pushes the Chinook to its maximum speed. But this means they will outrun their Apache escort and have to fly back to base completely unguarded.
I think if we can squeeze a bit more out of it, might be helpful.
Speed?
Yeah.
We've got 145, we can pull a little bit.
Yeah. I'll do what I can, mate. Yeah, because the guy's getting a bit worried on the bucket.
Yeah, yeah. We got about 180 ground speed there. The 170, sorry. As good as we're going to get, I think.
She's been fine, mate. They're doing CPR on the lad. He's got severe bleeds as well.
Okay. Okay, we're coming in at 90 degrees to the spot, unlike last night.
Yeah.
And we'll turn the tail, just allowing, towards the ambulance, okay?
Alright.
Good look.
Let's go bring the height up a little bit. Spot the sign.
Yeah, I don't know where it is at the moment. It's got to be on the nose somewhere.
It's on the roof.
Yeah, you got it slightly left of the nose, about 8 people on the ground.
Mate, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
Ambulance standing by. Loads of fuckers stood there in a circle.
If you go into the 3 o'clock, tail will be closest. Yeah, Woody. Forward 40 and right descending. 30, 20, dead ahead 15, 10, 8, 6, 5 more, 3, 2, 1, liver low down 3, 2, 1. Okay, parking brakes on, clear ramp, clear, capacity out.
I've got the secret stuff.
I'll pause up there. Unfortunately, the Christopher Gray didn't make it on that video, but I think that was a perfect example of the kind of teamwork that I'd like to push us towards in the Chinook on this. So we've got one more video to watch, and then we can get stuck in.
Chinook 1 lifts off from Camp Bastion. The crew start
This is a
early.
very cool
It's
one, just
only
showing
6 a.m.
things about the sling loading side of it. So essentially the call-outs and how quick they're going into it.
Near the town of Gereshk. They're running low on supplies. They've been held up getting past improvised explosives left by the insurgents. The drop zone is just a short hop from Camp Bastion. Mission accomplished.
So did you hear how quick
But
that
as
was?
the sun
5, 4,
comes
3,
up
2,
over
1,
the
done.
Helmand
Everyone
Valley,
out.
there's no time to
Sorted.
enjoy the view. It's straight back to Camp Bastion for the next load. Each successful drop-off is followed by refueling. You don't buy a Chinook for the miles it can do to the gallon. Well, the aircraft's now being refueled, but no rest for this trip.
That's not accurate, is it?
Deliver another load to soldiers out
We can
of
fuel ours
Poland
anywhere.
to the town of Gereshk. The Chinook often has
Just,
air support.
they stuck
and
it back
today
in
it's
the
flanked by an
fuel
Apache
truck when they were
gunship.
done with it.
That
Yeah.
protection is
Moses was right.
En route, the crew get news
Oi,
that
oi.
the insurgents have planted a bomb just a few hundred meters away from their drop zone. The Apache scans the area while snipers on the ground do the same. It's safe enough, and the drop goes ahead.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Low gun, clear away.
The pilot will always put the safety of the crew and the
Right, that's how much of that I'm going to show you because a lot of it's the same. And then they go to just mail and stuff. So, right, okay, and the final slides. Quickly, our organisation. We've got a Vortex 1-1 call sign. I want all the pilots to have a go on it. And the crew, they're all going to switch around as well. I might even look at bringing in 2 helicopters now. I think we've got a few more people than I planned. Supporting assets, I'm going to be looking around and keep an eye on you guys. So when you get in, instead of joining the crew intercom, can you join the packs? Because I'm going to be sat in the back and I want to listen to everything. So act as completely normal. Just go back onto the packs intercom instead of a crew one so I can hear everything. Hudson and Alex probably be doing some air command stuff. They might do some radios and call you in for examples. Hopefully, we've also got a JTAC now as well. Brooks here, so we'll utilise him, and an ugly call sign maybe draft in to provide escort depending on taskings and what they're doing. Other than that, is everyone else clear?
Yep.
Yep.
Has anyone got any questions after what we've been through? Anything
You-
they're not clear on?
Yeah. Do you really think that jam goes on the top of cream?
Yes, I do.
Okay, no, that's bizarre. Utterly bizarre.
It's not normal.
It's just wrong.
It's wrong.
It's you know, it's scones.
Can I just say one thing with merch it for, well, from now, it's going to be, it's either whoever's doing the transport taskings probably won't call the bird in until the medics or whoever's got the casualties on the ground is on the way to the HLS, so it saves you guys time sitting on the ground for like 2 minutes, because I know on one of the last stops you were seeing the Tricky was sitting on the ground and received small arms fire as the enemy flanked the whole platoon. So yeah, that will be a thing, because I don't really want to, you guys landing, waiting there for 2 minutes and then getting fucked by an RPG.
And that's one of the things, that we're either stopping with this doctor, gets off, organises the stuff on the ground while the Chinook fucks off again, or like Alex is saying, he'll call us in when he's ready for us to come in.
You'll all be down to the fucking how quick casualty chain is and the three med. So,
but I think it's important that you scramble us, get us spooled up, get us circling
you'll be
nearby, and then we'll come straight in. I think is the way forward to go.
Where can I grab an ammo truck on this space?